Here's how to help your son with motivation. So if he's stuck, he doesn't know where he wants to go in life, if you feel like you constantly have to push him, then keep watching. So if you're new here, my name is Agam Dewan. I'm a child and adolescent and adult psychiatrist. And so it's my job to help moms connect with their sons and help them with their mental health. I recently just had a 21-year-old patient, and he told me that he quit his job working at the ice cream store. And after he quit working his job, he put in his 2 weeks, and he's saying that he feels unmotivated now. He's living at his parents' house. And I asked him, well, do you know what you want to do? And he said, no, not really. So then we had a discussion about motivation. And I told him a quote that I'd heard that really stuck with me, which is that like you don't struggle with motivation, you struggle with lack of clarity. Because, for example, like literally this just happened to me. I was working my attending job, psychiatrist job, and I had some disagreements with leadership, and I was let go from my job. And so because of that, I was like struggling with a little bit of motivation at the beginning. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and because like, do I get another job, or what do I do, right? Do I kind of go into more social media stuff? And then I was talking to my roommate, and after doing all that, I decided that this is actually kind of an opportunity for me to go all in into social media and follow my dreams and share what I want to do, and build up my own thing. When I made that decision and I committed to it, now every day, like I feel motivated, like I feel clear. I wake up every day, I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do. The same thing happened to me in college as well, too. I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go to college. I was kind of majoring in biology just because, but I was like, okay, I'm not sure. And then once I decided, I remember the day that I decided to apply to med school or go into med school was when I was taking like a public service class. And this doctor came in who was sharing about, he had an underserved clinic, a family med doctor that he ran. So he came and he spoke to us, and then after the class, I asked him if I could shadow him. And he said yes. So I remember vividly thinking like, okay, it sounds like I've made a decision now to pursue pre-med track. So because I had made that decision, it was easy. Like it was easy to do the work that I needed to do because like I had clarity. I knew what I wanted. Okay. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do the pre-med thing, then I'm going to commit to it. Then therefore I got to do the MCAT. I got to do leadership and volunteering and all of that stuff. So you have to find clarity. You have to help your son find clarity. And so what I did with this kid, my patient, I told him, well, what is it that you want to do? And he's like, I'm not really too sure. And so I asked him, okay, well, what is it that you're interested in? And so he told me he's interested in music and he's interested in reptiles and animals. So he was like, well, I've thought about veterinary school, thought about maybe like working at an exotic pet store. I've thought about being a music repair technician. I've thought about teaching music. I like teaching as well. So I'm like, okay, like now we're getting a little bit warmer. But now we have to decide, okay, what direction we want to go in. I told him lacking motivation is like, you get in your car in the morning, but you don't want to drive. Well, yeah, the reason you don't want to drive is because you don't have a destination in mind. Like, once you know if you're going to New Jersey versus Philadelphia versus upstate New York versus Long Island, then you're going to be motivated to drive. But right now, it's just kind of like, why would you pedal the accelerator if there's no destination that you have? So, I told him that, and what I told him to do was, hey, go and journal. Like spend the next like week or two journaling, just writing down what it is that you want, what it is that you are into, what satisfies you, what are your goals, what are your desires. Because now, especially if you're quitting your job, now is the perfect time to really investigate that. Just like I did for myself. I took a little bit of time to decide what I wanted. I sent out I applied to some different spots. I talked to recruiters. I reached out to my friends, and I was like, my friends in psychiatry, I was like, hey, like, do you have any job openings that you're aware of? And so like they gave me some, but now that I know what I want to do and I have clarity, I can say no to the stuff that doesn't fit my goals. What I want to do with you is I want to share some tips on how you can help improve this for your son, right? So one thing that you can do is that tell him that motivation doesn't really come first. It's the action which comes first. So for me, what gave me the clarity for this stuff is like once I started going live for maybe like a day or two on TikTok, and then I'd pretty much never gone live before. And then when I did that, it was really, really good for me because I connected well with the audience, and I started a new coaching program that immediately filled up. We got 10 clients in 2 days, and I was getting leads. People wanted to be in my private practice as well after a couple lives. And so I was like, okay, like I definitely need to, this is something that I definitely need to do. And that gave me clarity, right? But I had to take that action first. Similarly, when I was in, an undergrad, I was thinking about, okay, do I do this? Do I do that? Like, what kind of thing do I do? But then I remember once I committed to shadowing him and I showed up for my shadow shift, the motivation came later because I'd already committed to doing that action first. So now if you want to help your son, right, you can definitely encourage him to journal. You can also ask him the questions that I would ask him, like, well, what is it that you want to do? What direction do you want to lead your life in? What do you naturally enjoy, like learning about? What would you do if no one paid you? How do you think you could help someone else? Because ultimately, any kind of work we do, it helps other people, right? Like that's the whole reason behind work, and that's what gives us fulfillment. He'll probably say like, "Oh, I don't know," and it's just like, okay, like just small steps. Spend a little bit of time just thinking about it, because I think that the most important thing is that finding that direction. Once you find direction, motivation can come pretty naturally once you do that. So that's a key thing. Other things that you can do to help him, especially if he lives at home, you can make sure that his diet is very clean. That's huge. If he's eating junk and snacks and, a bunch of sugar and stuff, that's going to sap his brain power, and it's going to like not give his brain the energy and motivation it needs to actually improve itself. So I always tell mom, like, one thing that you have control over is the food that goes into your home, especially if your son is financially dependent. So, control the food that you cook for him, and control the food that like the snacks and junk that's there too, because the sharper we can at least keep his brain, the more better. Encourage, if he has no goals or motivation, then health can be a first central goal, right? Encouraging him to get into the gym, to weight lift or exercise, encouraging healthy sleep, right? Like if you focus on those three things, then that can become a goal in and of itself too. And then that goal branches off to other goals and like other motivation in other areas. Like for example, I remember when, I started getting into the gym. Before, I never cared about my diet. Like I would literally just eat cereal at dinner time and other things. But then when I started getting into the gym and because I wanted to put on muscle, I realized that, now I actually have to start tracking my diet if I want to make results. Because before, I used to go to the gym, not track or care about my diet, and then I wouldn't make much gym progress. And then I remember I was in med school. I remember this very vividly. And I was sitting next to like one of my friends who had made, because this was new in the year. And so he was pretty jacked. I was telling him, okay, I want to get into the gym. And he's like, well, you got to eat big to get big. And like that quote just always stuck with me. And, that gave me motivation now, or because I'd already started going to the gym. And then I had that motivation, or I had clarity. I knew my goal was to gain muscle. So then once I had the clarity, then the motivation to start eating healthier was very natural. So really focus in on that. And I think you'll make a big difference in your son's life. If he feels lost, help him find that clarity. And then once you do, I think that will definitely help. So, so that's something I do in my private practice as well, is I help moms and sons navigate through a lot of these challenges, right? Because you want to make sure that there's no underlying mental health condition, either like depression, anxiety, bipolar, that's contributing. So, if that's something that you want help with, then feel free to book a consult in my bio. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.